Hello, beautiful Americans and people all over the world. I hope everybody is well. I recently jumped back on Facebook to help grow the Jay Rooney Show. I hit 100 followers yesterday. For me, somebody who doesn't have a lot of close people in their life and struggles with relationships, this is really cool. Even though, big picture, it's really quite insignificant, still, thank you everyone. If you did find the show via Facebook, thank you so much for following. It is very much appreciated. If anybody out there just needs somebody to talk to, don't ever hesitate to hit me up on Messenger. I am really busy and I don't have a lot of time to respond, but I will try to get back to you as quick as I can. So seriously, thank you. If you haven't subscribed to the Jay Rooney Show on Rumble and YouTube yet, please don't forget it is free. We have a few stories worth discussing today. I'm definitely diving headfirst into the Rooney bin, so here we go. Did you hear about Biden's fair tax system? On Monday, the White House formally proposed a new minimum tax on billionaires. The proposal is sure to generate fierce opposition from Republicans and others who would be included in a minimum rate for all Americans with a wealth of more than 100 million. If enacted, a minimum rate would be 20% of the group's total annual income. Unrealized gains as well, such as unsold stocks and bonds. In a statement announcing the provision that comes as part of its budget proposal, the White House called it a glaring problem that the ultra-rich often pay indefeasibly low tax rates. The White House says the tax is a key way to bring down the sky-high federal budget deficit as officials look to normalize the economy after the shocks from the last 2 years of the pandemic waves. White House economics project the deficit in 2022 would be more than 1.3 trillion less than last year's deficit if this budget is enacted. It would mark the largest ever one-year decline in U.S. history, and officials hope to continue the economic growth of last year. However, I don't think any of us can feel that or necessarily believe that we are growing. But anyways, they go on to say, my budget will continue, or their budget will continue that progress, further reducing the deficit by continuing the support for economic growth that has increased revenues and ensuring that billionaires and large corporations pay their fair share, President Joe Biden said in a statement. In putting this in place, we really will make sure that it's a fair tax system, a more progressive system, and that those at the top are doing their part to ensure fairness of the American budget. Heather Boshley, a member of President Biden's Council of Economic Advisors, told Yahoo Finance on Monday, the budget also calls for new rules around executive compensation and stock buybacks. The concern is that those in the C-suite have financial incentives to buy back stocks and boost the price because all their compensation usually lies in the stock options. The budget proposes that Congress to enact new rules to limit executives from selling their personal stock to immediate aftermath of a stock buyback. Nothing has happened yet. This could be for show. It's really just a band-aid at this point. We just heard about Biden's new budget plan yesterday, and I believe this is where some of the money would come from, you would think. Either way, I've been on the fence about going after the rich with taxes. Take this situation, for example. How does this even help you or I? Does it make you feel better? Because that might be it. I know a lot of people want this, and I admit it doesn't bother me. However, people like Elon Musk will be paying a lot more. And remember, Elon Musk did say the U.S. government was the biggest corporation in the world. And when you take a close look at this, that is what this feels like. I do think every American owes their fair share, but let's make no mistake. I don't see how this really helps you or I. Basically, the government will make more money. I mean, I guess it's better to take it from the rich than the rest of us, but is it really right for the government to take all the rich people's money as well? I don't know. I don't know about this. It just doesn't feel right. And did you notice they call this a tax on billionaires, but it's actually going after millionaires? They also said that you can tax unrealized gains, and this is where they really lost me. So what this means is, let's say you purchase some land, and in a couple years, the cost of that land doubles, but you don't want to sell it, like you're planning on keeping this land. The government can come up to you and say, yo, the value of your land has doubled and you owe us X amount of unrealized gains. You owe us 20% more. And if you don't pay, you're going to have to sell your land. I don't know, man. I'm not the very smartest dude out there, but this is my understanding. And like I said, this doesn't affect me at least as of right now. I don't own anything the government wants or would want, but ultimately, the worry for a guy like me is that the government is gaining more control by the day, it feels like. You basically own nothing. The government is basically saying even rich people will own nothing. We've been tracking the crypto situation on the Jay Rooney Show for a while. The government is taking over. Democracy, you say? Prove it. Prove that we're still a democracy. Yet again, this is another move and another play at the midterms, but folks, don't give in. They still have to get this passed. It's just talk, and it's not enough to win our votes. Remember, it does nothing for you. So, could it be for show? A lot of politicians are wealthy. They may not be down with this anyways. Most wealthy people are already taxed half. So, I just can't make sense of this yet. Maybe you could help me out. Explain it in the comments. Anyways, per NBC News, Biden's approval rating is at an all-time low, which is 40%. And you already know that because you listen to this show. But did you know 71% of respondents said they disapprove of Biden's handling of Russia's invasion of Ukraine? I like to talk about inflation a lot on the Jay Rooney Show, and that's because I watch my finances closely, and when cost of living goes up, my budget takes a hit. I'm not rich, and I assume those listening to the show are not either. When your budget takes a hit, it consumes you. You ever notice wealthy actors and famous people, even just rich people nowadays, always want you to care about the environment or care about social issues? What they forget is that people like you and I are thinking about where we're going to live in 6 months. Is today the day our car finally breaks down? How much money do we have for food this week or for gas? If 50%, and I swear this number is constantly changing and the media is so misleading, I'm never sure what to believe, but they're constantly saying 50% of the country is seriously living paycheck to paycheck, then I think it's safe to say that at least 50% of America is not thinking about things like the environment or even COVID anymore, or the Russian war for the most part. They're thinking about their finances and everything that revolves around it. If you disagree with me, well, check this out. The top 8 most important things to Americans, and this is based off of the NBC polling they did recently, and I first heard this pointed out on Breaking Points with Crystal and Sagar. So, number 1, cost of living. Duh. Number 2, jobs in the economy. No surprise there. Number 3, the war with Russia and Ukraine. 4, voting. 5, climate change. 6, taxes. 7, immigration. And not until you get to number 8 do you see COVID. So some big time issues on that list. I find it interesting the bottom half are often issues the left puts on the top of their list. And don't we call the left Democrats? That's not very democratic of them, is it? Is it just me, or have I been teeing up examples on how undemocratic the Democratic Party really is the past few weeks? How many more examples will we find? COVID is only an issue for 3% of the population all of a sudden, according to NBC. How did so many people go from freaking out about the unvaccinated to not caring at all? It's all because of the media. I never got down on saying people are in this media comatose, but this is evidence that actually might be the case. People are just going along with whatever the mainstream media says without even realizing it. The media changes their tune, so do all these people. Seriously, turn off your TVs. Listen to the Jay Rooney Show. Follow several other podcasts. Start working more, working out more, and cooking healthy food. Start a garden if you have space. While you do these healthy activities, you can take in the news from less toxic, less biased, and at least when they are biased or bias is at play, the person giving you the news is being honest about it like I try to be. So if that's what you want, don't forget to subscribe. Yes, you will get an email letting you know when I post a new episode. Is it really that bad though? How many other emails do you get every day and just delete without thinking twice? At least you'll be supporting me and doing something good for somebody. By the way, it's free. So anyways, some of you were really mad about the vaccine. Remember the other day how I pointed out these same people had the same fire towards Trump, and now it's the Russian-Ukraine war? I pointed out on Sunday how it's become a huge virtue signal. And just like those wearing masks still are basically just doing it to signal to the world, this is who I am. Where was the Ukraine war on the list? It was number 3. Number 1 and 2, cost of living, jobs, and the economy. I mean, yeah. I've been talking about the cost of living since I started this show. Why? I assume if it's important to me, it's important to you, like I said. When you're thinking about bills and finances, you're not thinking about anything else, which is also why it's important to have a routine that involves exercise and healthy eating so you don't let the stress completely overwhelm you. And we'll be getting to working out soon enough today because apparently exercise is now a right-wing thing, and I'm a little upset about that. So anyways, the economy, man, it's the economy. When money's flowing, people are working, interest rates are low, innovation is popping up everywhere, we could sure fix a lot of these social issues, in my opinion. And that might be a bit of an oversimplification, but it would sure help. So our next story is a doozy. This was one that really tickled me. It's news this weekend from MSNBC, and they posted an article that was first titled Far Right's Obsession with Fitness. This was an article that the name has since changed, and they changed the name to Pandemic Fitness Trends Have Gone Extreme, literally. They probably changed it because of the backlash it got, and it got a lot of backlash on Twitter from all kinds of people, all walks of life. And guess what? Here's a little bit more. This was written by Cynthia Miller Idris, by the way, and apparently now fitness has entered the cancel culture, or the culture war. Sorry. Well, she mostly attacks MMA. Still, I find this ridiculous. And let me be the first to admit this rubbed me the wrong way, and I had to check myself a little bit. This does violate my sense of moral propriety. Fitness has been a big part of my life going back to high school. I contribute getting through depression to working out, finding discipline through working out, learning routine was through working out. I learned a lot. They say you grow through struggle, and in the gym, you struggle. It's so much more than trying to look good. It's about feeling good, being mentally more clear, letting go of your stress and anxiety, finding yourself through the challenge. It's an escape from the world for those 45 minutes or so. You just get into your zone and you decompress. So here's what Cynthia said about it. It appears the far right has taken advantage of the pandemic at-home fitness trends to expand its decade-plus radicalization of physical mixed martial arts, MMA, and combat sport spaces. Earlier this month, researchers reported that a network of online fascist fitness chat groups on encrypted platform Telegram are recruiting radicalized young men with neo-Nazis and white supremacist extremist ideologies. Initially lured with health tips and strategies for positive physical changes, new recruits are later invited to a closed chat room where right-wing content is shared. Physical fitness has always been central to the far right. Hitler fixated on boxing and jiu-jitsu, believing that they could help him create an army of millions whose aggressive spirit and impeccably trained bodies, combined with the fanatical love of the fatherland, would do more for the German nation than any mediocre tactical weapons training. This article continues with nonsense just like this. No shit, military leaders are going to train their soldiers hand-to-hand combat. What do you think we do in America? Are you fucking kidding me? What is she even talking about? She clearly has no clue. You could also argue you get everything I described from working out from various fighting disciplines as well, if not a lot more. Have you ever done jiu-jitsu or wrestled somebody for a long period of time? Have you ever been submitted? I'll never forget what it's like to have been choked out. The moment you realize you can't do anything and it's happening whether you want it to or not. Those moments will give you some perspective. It's humbling and it's almost spiritual. So yeah, people will be attracted to things that help you with depression and cope with your anxiety. Things that help you feel good naturally. Perhaps she should try it and experience what it's like to spar with somebody. She is resentful. She feels like somehow by somebody else being in shape and trying to help others get in shape, she is victimized by this because this makes her feel bad. So they must be right-wing. Only right-wing people work out, and because they make me feel bad, they gotta be right-wing. This makes no sense. She waits until the end of her article to add, fitness, of course, is a staple and a hobby for many people for whom it is enjoyable and rewarding for brain health and overall well-being. Physical fitness channels dopamine, adrenaline, and serotonin in ways that literally make you feel good. I think Cynthia has a mix of emotions writing this, and I'm not trying to speculate what's got her so upset. How could I really know? but I bet she wrote this with a combination of pain and pleasure, excitement and fear. I know because I'm saying this with those same emotions. She's intimidated, and I also understand that, but we can't lash out at entire groups of people. Does this have something to do with her belief in a patriarchy and feels powerful writing this, misleading people and possibly discouraging further from or justifying not exercising, not going to the gym? What is she really saying here? What is she trying to accomplish? Again, she said at the end, physical fitness channels dopamine, adrenaline, and serotonin in ways that literally make you feel good. But why is that not the most important part of this article? Why are there not more articles coming out every day about those things? That's the part we've been missing the last couple of years. That's the part in which our leaders failed us during the heights of the pandemic and are still failing us right now, taking it a step further, calling it right wing, whatever the frick that means. The other day on my American Societal Conundrum episode, I talked a lot about being honest with yourself, and I mentioned at the beginning of this show, in a way, I felt this violates my sense of moral propriety. So I don't want to assume any more than I already have. She called out several other countries that have a problem with right-wing activist training in MMA gyms. She was only assuming it was going to happen here in America. But I don't think she should be assuming this. She literally just tried labeling an entire group of people. And for the record, if you haven't figured out already, who the hell knows what she means by right wing these days anyways? What spectrum of reality does she operate on? Is right wing white supremacist, or is it just a Republican, or is it somehow both? Because in my mind, they're two different things. So we have poll numbers indicating what we've all been assuming all along, people using the war as a political identifier, but really we're all just worried about the cost of living. Remember when the media said inflation was good for you? Now you're on board with COVID, I guess. I'm really confused about the COVID thing. Nobody cares at all anymore. People are now attacking trainers and MMA fighters as right-wingers, and again, what the hell does that even mean? The lofty left takes words and they destroy them. They twist them to give them new meaning, and I'm afraid I can't even keep up anymore. However, I am pretty confident Cynthia Miller Idris is wrong about this. But you know what? I bet she got a lot of clicks. Clicks probably equals a payout for her, so what does she care? I ask myself that all the time doing this show. Would I just say anything if somebody paid me enough? I hope I would have more integrity than that. Someone I believe had a lot of integrity was Marcus Aurelius. His message for us today: the sinner sins against himself. The wrongdoer wrongs himself by making himself morally bad. All right, everyone, go out into the world, be mindful of the good, believe you're good, you are a good person, man or woman, we're good individually and we're good together, so be good for goodness sake. Jay Rooney Show.